All right, it is the first edition of a postseason Chatterbox Reds, and unfortunately, it is a losing one. Nick, we obviously just did the live stream for the full entire game, but we have a podcast to do, and here we are. A lot to talk about for the most part. The game itself, probably not as much as we'd like. Just got outplayed. Got beat by a better team, and I think, you watch 162 games through the regular season. There's times you get frustrated about certain things. There's certainly games that you feel like you outplayed an opponent and you just somehow made a bonehead mistake, and you can get overly frustrated about it and get extremely excited and yell and do the things that I do. But I'll be honest. I mean, I try to be a realist as much as I can on this show. We got beat by a better team, and I know that people are going to point towards Hunter Greene and they're going to make a big deal about his inability to be an ace, and I've said countless times that I think he's one of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, and I still believe that. But I'll also say that I thought it just kind of got away from him. I think that the pressure was there. I think that it was his hometown, and the idea that he's facing a really good lineup when you add in the pressure of his first time kind of being in a big spotlight, and it being maybe in his hometown, but more importantly, he's facing a really, really good lineup. And, they jumped on him, and they jumped on him quick, Nick.
Yeah, he gives up a home run to Shohei Ohtani, the first batter of the game, on a pitch that I don't think was a bad pitch at all. I think the one to Ohtani was just one of those where you really have to tip your cap. And then, when you're Hunter Greene, you feel like from that point on, with the way this offense has played most of the year, you got to be perfect. And it felt like at that point he kind of overthrew a little bit and continues to get beat on his slider, something we'll talk about. But yeah, he didn't have it. It was unfortunate. I mean, it's good for Hunter Greene to get a postseason start, but doesn't make any of us feel very good about it right now. It's something that he needs to get, and he needs to improve and get better on. And I have all the faith in the world he will, but it sucked to watch tonight.
Yeah, it did. He just didn't show up, and I think that it's unfair to judge him both ways. I think if he would have went out here and he threw a complete game shutout, I would have said it. You would have said it. We would have given him all the praise in the world. We'd have been like, I told you. See, look, we've been trying to say how he's the best pitcher in the game, and I got to be honest, the opposite crowd, or maybe the narrative that he's kind of has flaky moments throughout his career, has showcased, and tonight was one of those situations. Now, am I all out just because of one outing? No, I'm not personally, and maybe that makes me a little too soft, but I just don't see the reason to sit here and suggest that he's not clutch or he's going to be incapable of giving you a big start when you need it. He's showcased that he's already been able to give you big starts when you needed it in the regular season. But this is that step up. And we've said how long on this show specifically that we want to give guys experiences, and we need them to get better in late September when there's meaningful baseball. Well, now we're officially in October. This is the first time that pretty much, I get Gavin Luxes of the world, like guys that have played for other teams, but this is the first time that the vast majority of our team and our players have played in October. And they're going up against a team that expects to win the World Series. And I'll just leave it at that. We got beat tonight. And hopefully we wake up tomorrow. And the one thing that you've said and I've said, and you got to give Tito credit for this, if anything else. And I know people don't want to give Tito credit for some things because they get frustrated by his in-game management, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But they do bounce back, man. They do bounce back. And they're going to have to do it in a major way here. And I think you've said it. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll be excited to watch them. I'm going to turn the game on, and I'm going to have the same type of attitude and energy that I had when I turned it on tonight, because all they got to do is win one, Nick. And the truth is that game 3 is going to be a monumental amount of pressure on the Dodgers because they're the ones that are supposed to win, and they're clearly the better team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the team had 1.8% playoff odds. They've been dead all year. Do they have a good chance of winning 2 in a row? Absolutely not. But they have a chance, and they still have a pulse. And thankfully, look, they did show a little fight here at the end. So at least they didn't have that goose egg and that, the Reds can't score in the playoffs. At least that narrative is at least squashed for 24 hours. And they'll have a chance tomorrow. And I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. We usually obviously do the box score recap presented by Nick Kirby, but tonight we have somebody that's gonna jump in your place. Somebody that many of you have heard for quite a bit this season. I'm not going to bring him on the actual screen itself because, as always, we jump it right into the graphic. But I'm going to let you know what? I'm not even going to let you know. You guys are going to have to figure it out on your own. You chat. If you're an OG, you'll know who this is. I'd like you to, in the chat, let me know who you think this is when we go to the box score recap. So it's not presented by Nick Kirby tonight. It's presented by somebody else, and we'll let you find out who it is. So here we go.
Your box score recap, as always, is in fact presented by Nicholas P. Kirby. The Cincinnati Reds, making their first full season playoff appearance since 2013, visit the Los Angeles Dodgers for Game 1 of the National League Wild Card Series. They would face Blake Snell, who last time they saw the Reds threw a no-hitter back in August of 2024. The Reds turned to their ace, Hunter Greene. Shohei Ohtani led off the bottom of the first with a drive of a 100-mile-per-hour four-seam fastball, 375 feet to right field for a solo home run and a 1-0 Dodgers lead. The Dodgers extended their lead in the bottom of the third inning. Greene walked Freeman and Muncy before giving up a 3-run line drive home run to Teoscar Hernandez. Tommy Edman followed that up with a solo home run of his own, and before you knew it, the Dodgers led 5-0. Greene's day was done after just 3 innings pitched. He allowed 5 earned runs on 6 hits while walking 2 and striking out 3. Scott Barlow came in and worked a perfect 1 2/3 innings. He had 4 strikeouts in his outing. Terry Francona then turned to Connor Phillips to face Teoscar Hernandez, who repeated his previous at-bat, this time of the opposite field variety, a solo home run to make it 6-0 Dodgers. Not to feel left out, Shohei Ohtani hit his second home run of the night in the bottom of the 6th, a 2-run shot to make it 8-0. Phillips would then walk Mookie Betts and his day would be done. Brent Suter would take over and get out of the inning without further damage. The Reds showed some fight starting in the 7th. Austin Hayes and Spencer Steer singled before Elly De La Cruz grounded into a fielder's choice, scoring Hayes. Tyler Stevenson then doubled to left field, scoring Elly, and the Reds trailed 8-2 after 7. The Dodgers didn't allow them to stay within 6 for long, adding 2 runs off Suter in the bottom of the 7th. Blake Snell's day was done after the 7th. The Dodgers turned to the bullpen after Snell allows 2 earned runs on 4 hits with 1 walk and 9 strikeouts. The Reds' fight continued in the top of the 8th. McLain singled, and then 3 straight walks to Noelvi Marte, Miguel Andujar, and Sal Stewart brought in a run. Then Spencer Steer singled to bring in another run. Elly De La Cruz then walked in yet another run before Tyler Stevenson struck out swinging at 4 pitches outside the zone. Then Ke'Bryan Hayes would pop out to end the threat. Reds were within 5 at 10-5 after 8. Graham Ashcraft worked a scoreless bottom of the 8th inning, but the Reds were unable to get anything going in the 9th. Reds dropped the game 10-5 and trail in the wild card series 1-0.
All right, and many of you probably know who that was, but you know what? I'm just going to leave it a mystery. But what's not a mystery is DSC, and you know what they are. They are a leader. They're a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information, and thank you to John and his team for being on our team all year long. Well, Tyler Stevenson's double will be the deep drive of the day. That would score Elly De La Cruz all the way from first base. 104.7 off the bat. That would, that would really jump the win probability up double if you do the math. 0.6% in interest in how much it added, but we would wind up having a 1% win probability when Elly De La Cruz would score. Well, that would make the score 8-2, and we all know it would wind up being 10-5, and the Reds would lose. But you know what? At least we don't have to worry about being shut out yet again in a postseason baseball game. I got to tell you, Nick, there's 2 schools of thought here, really. I guess one of them is being overly upset about just the way that it went, and Hunter Greene didn't perform, and I guess Tyler Stevenson swung at some balls outside the zone when they had a chance to maybe get themselves in a spot to give, I don't know, give yourself a chance. You can't really look yourself in the mirror and take yourself too seriously if you're going to suggest that if Tyler Stevenson was capable of laying off of ball 4 3 different times, that they would have come back and won, but it would have brought the tying run to the plate. It would have kept the momentum. So I do understand the sentiment of being a little upset about it. But we just, again, I wish, I hope, and I pray that at some point we can just admit that we got outplayed tonight. We got outplayed. They were the better team. And they probably are. Well, I'll just say it. They are the better team, yes. But you know what? I would be extremely upset tonight, Nick, if somehow we lost this game 3-2 and we made a bonehead decision in the 9th inning, or we made an error, or heaven forbid we blew a save. I would be crushed. I would sit here and I would probably absolutely be fuming. But that's not what happened. And I can live with getting beat, Nick. I can genuinely live with that. And tonight, I kind of felt like we just got beat. Even Hunter Greene, I'm not saying he threw the ball unbelievably well, but he didn't walk 4 or 5 guys in a row. He threw the ball over the plate, and they damn sure hit it.
Yeah, you were really the only way you thought you were going to win this game was if Hunter Greene shoved, and he didn't shove. There's definitely some interesting things with his pitch mix, because he's given up more home runs on his slider than his fastball, and that's surprising because he throws his fastball a lot more, and you'd think that hitters should be able to hit more home runs off that pitch. So that's something that he's got to figure out is when to throw the slider, and like the one of them was hung right up at the top of the zone that Teoscar Hernandez absolutely destroyed. Yeah, look, he wasn't good tonight, but you know what? If somehow this team can find a way to win 2 games in a row, I'd be excited as hell to watch Hunter Greene get a chance to face the Phillies and get a chance to redeem himself. And I'm also not going to forget what Hunter Greene did in September. How about that one-hit shutout against the Cubs? That was basically a playoff game. He made, I think, 6 starts in September. 5 of them were absolutely outstanding. The one against Paul Skeens to get 2 runs should have been 1. There was 1 earned run that shouldn't have been earned. But he dominated throughout the whole month of September outside of the one game in the minor league ballpark. I guess just California is Hunter Greene's kryptonite. Home state.
Oddly enough, it could be the kryptonite of the Cincinnati Reds. They've not been swept outside of California, I don't believe. I mean, Sacramento of all places, and obviously LA. And they have a chance tomorrow, obviously, to hopefully right the ship and not get swept in this. It's not really a fair sweep, let's be honest. It's a best of 3 series, and if you lose the first 2 games, well, that's that. But, I'm not overly discouraged, I guess. I just, maybe I came into this game with too low of expectations. Maybe you're telling me that I got a loser's mentality. Maybe I don't believe in this team enough to get overly upset about it. But I just came in knowing what we were up against. I did. And it doesn't mean I want to roll over and die. Trust me, if I was on the team, I think every athlete that has some success in their life always has this chip on their shoulder that genuinely can convince themselves that they think that they're the best no matter who they're playing against. But as an outsider, as someone that's not in the clubhouse, as someone that's not playing, come on. I mean, we're playing a roster that's built at a significantly better rate than ours is for a plenty of different reasons. I don't really want to get into that tonight either. It's like, oh, well, I'll have the discussion about the small market, big market. Let's fight this fight over that fight when the whole CBA thing happens and we have plenty of time to discuss it. But you know what? Right now, we're 2 Major League Baseball teams and we're trying to win 2 games. And right now, we didn't win the first one, Nick. And I just want to say, you know what? I know this sounds stupid, and I know people probably think I'm lying. I'm not. I genuinely have not been. I've probably been more upset about a baseball game 50 different times this year than the one tonight. Genuinely. Like, there are so many other games that I've watched that are just that are just, I will literally get off this stream, I'll go upstairs and I'll lay in bed and I'll just think, how do we do this? Like, why do we do this? Or how do we not make this play? Tonight I'm going to go upstairs, go to bed. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be like, let's go get them, boys. We got another chance, you know?
I agree. I 100% agree. Like, this is not even close to the there's not really a whole lot of Tito decisions that I go, I really, it just is what it is. Your pitcher did pitch well. You played a team that's incredible, and they beat you tonight. And you know what? You got a chance tomorrow to steal a game and put all the pressure in the world on them on Thursday night. And that's really the mindset right now. And I don't really understand why you'd have any other mindset. What's the point of watching this team if you don't have that mindset tomorrow, with all due respect?
I just think that as much as we know that it is a tall task to beat the Dodgers 2 times in a row, I don't look at it like that right now, Nick. I look at it from the standpoint of, can we get ourselves in a spot where we make the Dodgers feel like they only have 9 innings to save their season? And that's how I look at it. It's like, if you can just find a way to win tomorrow, it puts so much pressure on those guys. Like, just an immense amount of pressure. And I also think that this Reds team will believe that they're destined to do it. I don't want to say they're dumb enough, because that would be like the wrong word to use, but it's just like, I think they've convinced themselves enough that they can't be killed. Like, they're the cockroaches. So, you know what? Just win tomorrow and we'll move on and see if we can't find a way. But Hunter Greene wasn't good. And I said this too during the live stream, and I feel the same way now. Is like, I just think the bullpen wasn't very good either. I'm not suggesting they should have shut the Dodgers out or anything like that, but they had a lot of guys on base. They gave up some hard hit balls. They clearly, Connor Phillips had struggled a little bit. Graham Ashcraft loaded the bases. Brent Suter gave up some hard hit balls. Thankfully, I mean, Barlow was fantastic. I know that people are going to, maybe make some jokes about how Barlow should have started or whatever, but he was fantastic, so that's nice to see. But, yeah, your overall thought on the game, I don't want to rush through the game, but I really don't have a whole lot more to say than what I already said.
Yeah, Scott Barlow was incredible. I mean, he retired all 5 batters he faced, struck out 4 batters. And you know what? Like, this team ended up scored 5 runs, and yes, everything doesn't work out the same, but if Connor Phillips would have pitched like the Connor Phillips that we saw and everything still works out the same, this game would have been very interesting. So shout out to Scott Barlow. He's a guy that was great for this team for a long stretch of the year. I think most people probably thought he was toast for the season. I didn't even think he really honestly deserved to be on this playoff roster. But man, he showed it tonight. I don't know even if you'd have anything left in the tank tomorrow, and I don't think you'd want to use him after, he faced 5 batters tonight. But if you're able to get to Thursday, what I saw tonight makes me think he's actually a viable weapon on Thursday.
I agree. He certainly has no chance to start tomorrow, or I should say pitch tomorrow. And if he is pitching tomorrow, this team's not in a very good spot. But we'll see. I mean, I'd like to save some time here for maybe better topics, and we'll get to those here in just a second. But as always, if you're ever in a spot where you feel like you might need some help and are in a time of crisis, you can always text and or call 988. It is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Once again, you can also visit mantherapy.org. Text or call 988, day or night, 24/7. It is an anonymous hotline, and it is always okay to not be okay. Super chats, I just want to say also thank you to everybody that has been in this stream for so long. I really genuinely mean that. We have so many likes tonight. If you don't mind, hit the like button if you haven't already. We're up to 464. Getting to 500 would be really, really nice and fun and cool. I don't know what our record is, but that's got to be pretty high. 500 has got to be close. Alex Pomitsky? Alec Pomitsky is joined Nutcutter Nation. Thank you for supporting our channel. We appreciate that. That is very, very nice of you. And I'd also say Michael Roth coming in with another super chat says, here is the truth. We are so lucky to be here as fans of the Reds. Despite minor mismanagement and despite major failures, Craig Sandlin has arrived. There you go. That's what this is all about, baby. Craig Sandlin did arrive. He was here, he came, and he left. He didn't really leave. He's behind the scenes still, believe it or not. But nonetheless, let's get back into the game itself, and then we'll obviously talk about maybe what's going on as we progress. Go ahead, Nick.
Can we make sure we tell all the people about the red hot deal with Omaha Steaks?
I have no problem doing that. If you want me to do it, I can do it. And you know what? I'll let everyone know right now. If you don't know already, you should know. We have a red hot sale event. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Okay? I got some huge Franks upstairs that I threw on the grill, all right, yesterday. Not today, but yesterday. And I think they were gourmet dogs, and I got to tell you, don't sleep on those. But I'm more of a sirloin guy myself. And just so you know, you can go on the Red Hot Sale event, get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. But if you use the code Chatterbox, that's CHATTERBOX, you can get an extra $35 off, which is kind of a big deal. So that's what some are saying. If, once again, you go to omahasteaks.com right now, you get 50% off, and you can use the promo code Chatterbox. You'll get an extra $35 off. Nick, here we go. Matt McLain had a nice night. Doubles, finds a way on base yet again with another single. And, you have beat the drum for a while that there's somewhere down deep, Matt McLain still exists, the one that we used to know. And you'd like to see him come back. At least it was a positive sign to see him have some success here as we begin the postseason journey. Hopefully it's more than just 2 days. But, he was one of the bright spots. Not that there was a vast majority or a ton of them, but he was one of the bright spots tonight.
Yeah, 2 balls hit hard. The double was hit 101 off the bat, the single 105 off the bat. Both off lefties. The one thing that McLain has done decent this year is hit lefties. 90 WRC plus over the course of the year against lefties. Obviously, you'd like that to be a lot higher, but he's certainly still capable. But yeah, that was good. McLain's had some good moments this year. He's had far more bad moments, no at the plate at least. But yeah, this was a good night for him, and it's a fresh season for him. And you know what? When you're going into a do or die game, you're looking for anyone that can find a way to get hot. And postseason baseball can sometimes bring out some of the most unlikely heroes. A guy that played for the Dodgers tonight, Enrique Hernandez, has not had really great major league numbers throughout his entire career, but has made a living on having a lot of postseason success. Maybe you hope and pray Matt McLain can be that guy. He had a really nice night tonight at the bottom of the lineup. I don't think it's a huge deal, but maybe you flip him and Hayes, although it might be good to kind of have him kind of be the second leadoff hitter almost at this point.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we need guys to step up that we probably haven't relied on a ton this year regardless, and that's what's going to propel us through this postseason if we're going to do it, because the truth is we're going to have to beat some really, really, really good, not just teams, but organizations in general, teams that have been here time and time again. I don't know if you've looked at the run. If you have, you got to get through the Dodgers, then you have to get through the Phillies, and then you're basically playing the winner of the other side, which is going to be the National League Championship Series, and then you play the World Series. So the road has never been harder for any team to try to get through a postseason. And in order for this baseball team to have any success at all, they're going to have to get some help from guys that have not been good this year. Matt McLain is one of them, and it was nice to see him get off to a good start. Now, ultimately, we need everybody, all hands on deck tomorrow to try to make sure that we can get to a Game 3 and see what happens in Game 3. But from an offensive perspective, you score 5 runs. The reality is, I don't know if they would have scored 5, like you said, if the game was tight, but truth is they got there regardless. And yeah, I don't know. They had a chance. I don't know if you want to go into the Stevenson situation, but it's probably the only situation of the game that you could probably say that was your really best chance. You had 1 out in the inning. The guy was struggling to find the zone. You'd already kind of snuck some guys in. Stevenson's up there, swings at ball 4 3 different times, I think. But to be fair to him, it was a great at bat, man. That's the hard part of doing this show. It was a great at bat. I think 12, 13 pitches, Nick, something like that, and he fouled off ball 4 2 or 3 different times. It's not like he swung and missed at ball 4 consecutively. He just unfortunately expanded the zone, kind of got in a swinging mode mentality after the 10th, 11th pitch, and then unfortunately swung through ball 4 or ball 6 or 7 at that point, if you want to think of it that way, and struck out, which made 2 outs in the inning. That would then open up, I guess, a little bit of the skepticism of what Tito's management style is at times. You have Ke'Bryan Hayes come up with the bases loaded with 2 outs, and you're unfortunately unable to get him in. So we talked about it during the stream. I don't know how much we're going to talk about it in the podcast. It would have been nice to have a guy that can hit a home run to come off the bench, but we'd unfortunately already burned through. Hayes obviously started the game. We had already burned through Sal Stewart to pinch hit earlier, so the only options left to pinch hit for Hayes was Espinal, Benson, and Lux, and obviously there was a left-handed pitcher on the mound, so that eliminates Lux and Benson. So you're left with Espinal, and to be frank, Espinal and Ke'Bryan Hayes are one of the same. So what are you going to do, Nick?
Ke'Bryan, I would say, is overall played a lot better offensively over the last at least couple months. Yeah, Tyler Stevenson had a nice double in the inning prior. And yeah, 11 pitch at bat. Really that whole inning, the Reds had some really impressive at bats, laid off a lot of the Dodgers spiked some pitches and threw some non-competitive pitches, but they also threw some pretty nasty sliders and stuff away that the Reds were able to lay off and kind of get a rally going. And hey, look, at least you look at the end of the night and there's a 5 in the score column instead of a 0 or a courtesy 1. And I don't think it matters probably as much to these players because they weren't around in 2013. They weren't around in 2020 outside of Tyler Stevenson, who actually wasn't even on the postseason roster in 2020. So I don't think it really matters a whole lot to them. But nonetheless, at least this offense can go into a game 2 against another really, really good pitcher and at least have a little bit of confidence. Hey, we were going to put 5 runs up against Blake Snell, and the Dodgers threw some pretty good relievers. They're relievers that have a lot of really good stuff. So you at least have that going into a do or die game.
Yeah, I agree. And we can get hung up on the fact of what could have been tonight, but it feels like we'd be basically crying over spilled milk or not moving on, which is what this baseball team has done really, really well. And I think that's kind of where I want to focus going next is the fact that, this team has a chance to wake up tomorrow, find a way to win. And we do have an opportunity of a little who, what, when, where, and why here, Nick. I don't know.
Can we talk about Hayes for a second?
Sure. Go ahead.
Before we get to that, just for people who weren't watching. So Hayes in the top of the 7th inning actually singled 103 off the bat. Austin Hayes, sorry.
Yep.
Playing left field today. Hadn't played in a couple days, or actually played on Sunday. I think he came in as a defensive late game. If you have a pinch hit, I don't remember exactly, but hadn't played a lot.
Played very sparingly, yes.
Yeah. So he had a really hard hit single in the 7th, and then Tito took him out of the game in the bottom of the 7th. I have yet to see any reason why that was. Brought in Sal Stewart to play first base, moved Steer out to left field. And then, the Reds were down entering the inning 8-2. So, you thought Hayes probably got his last at bat and the game was over, but then the Reds had that crazy rally. And then, unfortunately, got to a situation where Ke'Bryan Hayes' spot came up, 2 outs with the bases loaded, and you had no one left, as you just mentioned. So, I would imagine if Hayes was just taken out just to kind of we're down, I have to imagine Tito's kind of kicking himself on that. And like when you have the best of 3, kind of I don't know, pulling him early is strange to me. And then also we talked about it during the game, but I want to bring it up for the podcast listeners. I do think this organization made a massive mistake not calling up Blake Dunn on September 1st and DFAing Santiago Espinal. Blake Dunn had 3 really good months down in AAA, hit almost 350 over a 62-game stretch, had an on-base percentage of almost 450, WRC plus over 150, and they thought enough of Blake Dunn to put him on the opening day roster. He goes down to AAA, he makes improvements, but they didn't think enough to bring him back up. And he could have been a guy that could have been a weapon for this team, especially with his speed. So I think it was a mistake. And Again, probably does the Reds win this game? Very, very slim if Blake Dunn's on the roster, but it's another one of those marginal moves that it feels like the Reds have not done enough on this year.
I understand. I'm not going to sit here and suggest that I ultimately, does it make a difference? It doesn't feel like it does. I'm not going to downplay, though, that you shouldn't try to give yourself every advantage humanly possible, even if you don't think it'll ever showcase itself, because it might. And it's, in a weird way, it kind of did tonight. It doesn't mean that it would have changed the outcome of the game. I keep on reiterating that, because I think people are going to suggest, like, oh, are you suggesting to me that if you had Blake Dunn up here on the roster, that somehow the Reds are going to come back and they win this game 11-10? I'm not, but I am going to say that you use Blake Dunn. I'd rather have guys on the bench that can accidentally hit the ball over the fence, and we don't have so many of those guys that profile that way on this team anyways. Like, there's just not that many guys on this team that when they come up to the plate, you think from a profile perspective and you look at them holistically that they have enough power to genuinely probably produce what I would call average big league power throughout the course of a year. We don't have that. And when you find yourself in these games, Nick, there's always going to be a time or place in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th inning in a close game that you're probably going to say to yourself, man, let's just go over there and buy the scratch off ticket and see if we can't hit the lottery. Like, let's just take it. And today was a perfect example of that. And you have the bases loaded with Brian Hayes up with 2 outs in the inning, and you're down by 5 runs, and everyone's going to make fun of the fact that I'm going to say Rhys Hines, and I get that. I'm not naive to the fact that Rhys Hines is probably not a great big league player. He has had a great time, or he's done a great job in AAA, but I know this. He has a significantly better chance of hitting a home run than Brian Hayes will ever have. And that's all I'm getting at. It's like, if we're talking about the smallest of margins already of trying to beat the Dodgers, then why can't we sit here and try to justify having a guy that can actually make a difference? If Rhys Hines gets lucky and runs into a baseball and your 10-5 games turns into a 10-9 game, well, there's a decent chance that you can suggest that you might have the ability to pull off the unthinkable. Brian Hayes is just never going to do that, and he's just not. And I hope I'm wrong. Maybe he'll hit a grand slam tomorrow and shut me up. And here's the thing that sucks about doing this show and trying to bring up alternative options, or maybe these are just thoughtful ideas. I don't want people to be like, oh, I think they're smarter than Tito or this. No, I'm saying that these are things that are actual, rational, good, sound, I would think somewhat intelligent people think. And Santiago Espinal, for all intents and purposes, Nick, I don't want to be disrespectful to him. I don't want to be disrespectful to Brian Hayes. Brian Hayes has had 2 hits in his last 30-some-odd chances. Santiago Espinal hasn't really touched a bat since the All-Star game, it feels like. They're non-factors at the plate. They offer little to nothing. And yeah, you're going to tell me that Blake Dunn and Rhys Hines have come up here and they've been terrible too. Yeah, but you can't look me straight in my face and say they don't have a better chance of getting lucky and hitting the ball over the fence and making a huge impact play. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. And unfortunately, we don't have that option, so we move on and we hope that tomorrow's a better day.
Yeah, I mean, Santiago Espinal had 3 at-bats in September. It's just hard to justify his using a postseason roster spot on that when you have guys that, yes, they're flawed players, but have potential.
Well, I mean, Rhys Hines can play outfield from a defensive perspective, in my opinion, at a much higher rate than like Spencer Steer would ever think about doing it. If Gavin Lux is going to sneak out there and play it, if Austin Hayes ends up getting hurt and you need a defensive replacement in the outfield, sure, no doubt, I would rather have Rhys Hines. I'd also say, to your point, if you have Blake Dunn up here, what happens if you're in a 1-run baseball game and I don't know, I'm just going to throw out the fact, like, let's say Stevenson gets on second base with nobody out in the 9th inning and you have Trevino sitting on the bench. Are you not going to pinch run for Stevenson in a spot like that? Yeah, Blake Dunn is an excellent option. Rhys Hines isn't even a decent option for that. But Santiago Espinal is not going to be able to, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just being honest. Like, Santiago Espinal is not going to provide a significant upgrade from a speed perspective on the bases. So I get it. He's been a slick fielder. He has been on this roster since the opening day. He's had good moments for this team. He's provided value. I'm not downplaying that at all. I'm just saying, like, if you're genuinely trying to give your team the best chance of winning, he's not on the roster. But you know what? We move on. I don't want people to think that this turns into a complaint fest. We got beat tonight. Fair and square. They're the better team. But when you want us to do a show each and every single night, the reality is we need to bring up points that seemingly seem obvious, but we're not doing them. So I guess kill us for it. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you want to say, well, you're talking about this on a night that you have 10 runs, okay, then the show would have been, yeah, Hunter didn't pitch well enough. Connor Phillips had a bad night. See you guys tomorrow, and then we're done. Like, that's the show. Like, I don't, like, do you want us to talk about things or just do that and go on our merry way? I mean, that's kind of what we're at.
Yeah, it was a tough night of baseball for the Reds. We got beat fair and square. But the truth is we had one big moment. We had two moments, actually, Nick. We had two moments where we could have legitimately made a difference in this game, in my opinion. Marte comes up with two guys on. He hits a ball over the fence. That changes the dynamic of the game. If somehow Stevenson but Brian Hayes is capable of getting a big hit, maybe a bases clearing double or a home run, it changes the complexity of the game. Those are the only two moments we had. I get it. Not enough, but that's just kind of where we're at. All right, we have more baseball to be played, believe it or not, and we should all be thankful for that. We have a best-of-3 series, so that means tomorrow, and by tomorrow, many of you may be listening to this now, so today we have a baseball game to get played. This is going to bring up a lot of, I guess, sarcastic remarks. There's going to be a lot of people making fun of this on X. There's going to be a lot of probably national pundits that have no clue what the Reds are about to do. But I think the Dodgers are damn sure know what they're going to do, and I'd be interested to see what these lineups look like, Nick, because it seems like this cat and mouse game that we're getting ready to play. So I'll let you lead us into it, a little who, what, when, where, and why, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, shout out to Daniel Jacobs. He had a super chat that kind of leads us right into this. I don't remember if you got to it or not, but he said, we can't be seriously starting Littell tomorrow. I don't know if we even make it to Lodolo unscathed, 4 batters in. Abbott should demand the ball. Abbott's on 3 days rest tomorrow if he pitched. And Abbott is a guy that looked tired for a large portion at the end of the year. And we've talked about it several times before, so I apologize to those who do listen to this every night, but I know there's people that don't, that are just tuning in. I've said many times, pitchers on 3 days rest, it normally doesn't go well. There's statistical stats to back that up for years and years of data, and that's for some of the best pitchers that have ever pitched that have not pitched well on 3 days rest. So asking Andrew Abbott to do that is not good. You save him for game 3. You have to win both games to survive anyway, so why not at least have Abbott in a spot where he's going to have a chance to be most effective. The interesting thing with Littell tomorrow, and Craig, you can throw up the graphic whenever, is the Dodgers did not put Michael Conforto on the roster. So even against Hunter Greene, they, after the top 4 batters, they had right switch, right, and then left as their backup catcher. So it's almost kind of set up a little bit better for Littell. So it'll be interesting to see what the Dodgers do. Would the Dodgers maybe be a little creative and throw Max Muncy into their top 3? I don't know if they care that much, but to guarantee him a first inning at bat. If the Dodgers roll out the same lineup on Wednesday, and Littell comes in and he's able to get through the first inning, 0 runs, 1 run. Maybe you do try to get him, Trace, a whole time through the lineup with all those right-handed bats at the bottom. Then you have Lodolo come in for Shohei Ohtani. And, I know like it feels weird with Littell starting the game, but Lodolo's not going to go more than 5 or 6 innings. He really hasn't most of the year, and he's not in an elimination game. So, look, there's a chance here, I think, to do well. And I do think some people are downplaying that, like Zach Littell went 10-8 with a 3.81 in the big leagues this year. Like, yeah, he's not Yoshinobu Yamamoto, but he's not some scrub. This isn't a guy with a 5 ERA coming in and pitching. This is a guy that had some success and made some big starts for the Reds down the stretch. So, yeah, that's probably, I think, the most likely scenario is he goes one time through the order unless he's dominating or unless the Dodgers do some real creative stuff with their lineup. But Trace, like I'm looking at their bench, their lineup is a lefty backup catcher, actually third string catcher because Will Smith's on the roster, and then Hai-Sung Kim, who they haven't really played much at all. So it does set up pretty well for Littell after after the top four. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do tomorrow. What's your thoughts on this before we get into Yamamoto?
I think that really what people are underestimating is the fact that Nick Lodolo might not be healthy, and I think that was maybe the bigger decision that's been made. I think Nick Lodolo got pulled. If for those that don't know or don't remember, or maybe weren't paying attention, but he got pulled with a groin situation that happened in his last start, where he struck out a career high 12 batters against the Pirates and looked like he was on his way to an all-time outing in a must-win game, and ultimately before he turned it over to the bullpen, and they ended up thankfully holding on to the lead there, and you had the Marte robbed home run game. But the truth is that I don't know how long he can pitch, and I don't think he does either. I think that's part of the strategy, Nick, is that you don't want to go out there and start Lodolo, right, with the expectation that he's the guy, and then all of a sudden you get 4 batters into the game and this groin situation flares up, and all of a sudden now you're rushing into a spot where you're asking a bunch of guys to try to get themselves ready into the pen. I think they'd rather just basically throw an opener, give themselves a chance to maybe get through, like you just said, maybe 4 or 5 hitters, and then give the ball to Abbott, and then just honestly have guys like Nick Martinez, have guys like maybe Chase Burns, whoever it is on the backside of Lodolo ready to go and basically have experience doing that. Because you don't want to put yourself in a spot where you ask Nick Martinez and Burns to have to fill up 6 or 7 innings of a game, where Lodolo might get you 6 or 7 innings, but he might only get you 2 innings because either, and I'm not trying to be funny, but like either the blister or the groin or who knows, something else happens. That to me is the bigger storyline. I don't think it's as much strategy involved as people are making it out to be. I think it's just trying to, not CYA, but just trying to make sure that they don't really get themselves in a very, very precarious spot because they trusted Nick Lodolo to be able to be the starter, and then all of a sudden 3 batters into the game, you got to, and I know that they have all the time that they're allowed to get to warm up, but it's just not in the same like comfortability as it would be to say, hey, just be ready in the 3rd or 4th inning. We're going to expect to be able to go to you type situation.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, yeah, it's certainly all hands on deck. If Lodolo comes out and looks rough after 3 batters, his day's done. I mean, that's kind of as simple as it is. Yeah. If Littell comes out after 3 batters and looks bad, he's done. I mean, you have to, and you have a lot of bullets. You have Chase Burns, who can give you multiple innings. You have Nick Martinez, who I wouldn't put it past Nick Martinez to give you 4 innings if it absolutely came to it. So yeah, I mean, it's a batter to batter game tomorrow.
Yep.
So that's how it's going to play out. And look, these guys are every pitcher the Reds are going to throw out tomorrow is a capable big league pitcher. Are they at the level of the Dodgers top guys? No. Nick Lodolo when he's at his best, yes. Chase Burns, certainly when he's at his best, but they have a lot of arms that they can throw out there. They can mix and match. They can bring in guys that throw from different arm slots and throw harder and softer and different pitch mixes, and maybe they can kind of throw the Dodgers off. I mean, we've seen bullpen games, which is almost kind of probably what tomorrow gets to. Maybe it's a little bit more abbreviated where it's Chase Burns giving you 2 innings as opposed to just one inning. Right. But we've seen bullpen games be incredibly effective. We've seen bullpen games blow up. It could really go either way. But I have no issue with what they're doing tomorrow, and I'm excited to see if they can pull it off.
I mean, the Brewers essentially effectively threw what you could consider what we want to try to do on the final game of 162.
Yeah.
They went out, they threw a guy that everybody thought was probably not all that great. He kind of got through whatever was maybe 6 or 7 outs. I don't remember totally what it was, but nonetheless, he gave the ball over to what is a traditional starting pitcher, and then they just kind of piecemealed it together from there. I just don't think you can trust Lodolo to take the ball and he's already hurt. Like, I am semi-concerned how effective he's going to be because he got hit He got hit in Milwaukee, okay? He did not look like, and I know it's the Milwaukee Brewers versus the Pittsburgh Pirates, but when you look at the two outings side by side, not the most confidence when it comes to maybe the way that things are progressing. So we'll see. Maybe he's able to bounce back tomorrow and throw 6 or 7 shutout innings. I don't see it, though. I got to be honest with you. I think Littell throws an inning, maybe 5 outs at most. And then I think they go to Lodolo, and I think even the slightest bit of trouble, if he finds himself with 2 guys on and he gives up a base hit that gives 1 run in with 1 out in the inning, I think that it's going to be Captain Hook all game long. And I'm okay with that because you have too many guys in that bullpen that can look really, really good, whether that be Nick Martinez, whether that be a guy like Chase Burns throwing 2 to 3 innings, and then you give the ball to Santillan, and then you give the ball to Pagan. You just trust me. Santillan is willing to go 2 innings in a must-win game. Pagan's willing to go 2 innings in a must-win game. Burns can throw 2 to 3 innings. Martinez can throw 2 to 3 innings. It's not a lack of guys in the bullpen that can get you to the finish line. It's more or less going to be who do you trust to get the outs, because that's what this is going to come down to tomorrow. Not so much, we need the rest of these guys. The season's on the line. There is no tomorrow. You throw whoever you need to throw to get outs, and I just don't know if Lodolo is going to be able to, unfortunately, throw long enough, because he's going to have to throw almost, in my opinion, 1 shutout baseball, but more importantly, or more, even crazier than that, Nick, I think he's going to have to throw clean innings to not get taken out, because I think there's a chance where he throws 2 innings and he gives up the first 2 leadoff guys, or the first 2 guys in the inning get on in a game of 162, Nick. You let him try to get out of it himself. I don't think he's going to be afforded that opportunity. I think they're going to go straight to the pen. We move on. We'll see, but I just think people are making this out to be like Littell is going to go out there and try to get, 4 or 5 innings worth of work, and it's just not going to be the case, man.
No, I agree with you on that. My last point on this is if you want a little bit of hope, we were there for Nick Lodolo when he faced the Dodgers, struck out 11 batters in 5 1/3, gave up 2 runs. I think it was at the end of his start. But he had a stretch where he was absolutely dominant against the same Dodgers team just a couple months ago. And how about Chase Burns earlier this year? He gave up 3 runs. I also believe that was late, but he struck out 10 batters, only walked 1 in 5 2/3 against the Dodgers. Those are 2 arms that did have some success against the Dodgers, the same Dodgers lineup, that hopefully can give you some length and just to give you a chance. But ultimately, the Reds are going to have to try to put a couple runs at least up against a really, really good pitcher in Yoshinobu Yamamoto tomorrow.
That's right. No, listen, the lineup itself, you have that on the rundown here. I guess we can take a crack at that next. You got game 2 lineup. Obviously, Gavin Lux is probably going to be back, I would say, in the lineup for sure. Where he hits in the lineup, I don't know. He'd probably hit in 3rd if I had to guess, but who knows? But anyway, I don't know. Do you have a graphic, or what do you want to do with this game 2 lineup situation?
I don't know. This was all a Craig thing. But yeah, I mean, I would assume that Lux is batting 3rd tomorrow. I guess the question is Austin Hayes in the lineup? I mean, if you had to pull him in the 8th inning, which there was a post-game comment from Francona on that. Francona said he's fine and really wants him to play tomorrow. So I guess he is planning on playing Austin Hayes tomorrow. They were down 8, and he really wanted to get Stewart in at bat. Probably could have got Stewart in at bat when Brian Hayes came up the inning prior, but oh well. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much your lineup would be Friedel, Marte, Lux, Austin Hayes, De La Cruz, Steer, Stevenson, Brian Hayes, Matt McLain, unless but how does he not play Andujar? Andujar actually is one of the guys that has had success against Yamamoto. I mean, it's very small. He had a double and I think 3 at-bats against him. But yeah, I would, if he says Hayes is playing, then that would take out Andujar, which then you DH Lux. Your defense is better, but
I just don't. Okay. It's been a good show for me so far. I'm going to leave it be. Okay.
couple quick things on Yoshinobu Yamamoto that are not good. He has been absolutely dominant down the stretch. Trace, last 5 starts for Yamamoto, a 0.79 ERA. The good news is he hasn't given up any home runs, so it's not really part of the Reds' MO anyways. But you know what? Some are saying he's due. He can throw everything at you. Throws up to 7 pitches. A lot of them are very good. His fastball, his split finger, and his curveball batters hitting under 200 against all 3 offerings. He made a start in 2024 against the Reds. Reds actually put up 4 runs against him. But earlier this year, 7 innings of 1-run baseball for Yamamoto. Last year in the postseason, he started out very poorly, but then pitched very well in the World Series. So again, a tall task for the Reds, just like it was a tall task against Blake Snell. But look, it's all about trying to get his pitch count up and get into that Dodgers bullpen, because we saw tonight that's really where you have a chance. So if you can try somehow to get maybe Yamamoto out after 5, or maybe even just put enough pressure onto them where that you bait them into them pulling them early, I think that's really where the Reds have their best chance of winning.
I agree. Can Sal Stewart play third base tomorrow? Can we do that? I get the defense thing. I do. I understand it. I just don't think we're going to be able to out-defense these guys. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. Like, we're going to have to score 6 runs to win tomorrow. 6 runs.
I don't know. I don't know. Baseball's a funny game, man. It's a funny game.
I just saying, Sal Stewart plays third base. Is Will Benson allowed to play?
There's no chance Will Benson plays in this game tomorrow. He went 1 for 12 and his season's over. He might get a chance to pinch run.
Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to have TJ Friedel leading off. We're going to have – are we going to keep hitting Marte second, by the way?
Well, I mean, it's a right-handed pitcher for sure. If you're going to hit him first against a left-handed pitcher, something he hasn't hit in his career, certainly going to have him there. Lux is going to hit third.
All right, yep. So Marte, Lux is going to hit third. And then we're going to put Steer.
Probably, and then Elly. Then Hayes.
Stevenson.
Yeah.
Well, Stevenson hits before. Oh, you're talking about Austin Hayes, yeah. Austin Hayes, Stevenson, Hayes, McLain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, what I would do if you're not going to play Benson, which is not going to happen, I think that I would risk putting Spencer Steer out in left field, putting Sal Stewart at first base, and benching Austin Hayes. I think that's fine. That would be the better. But you have to get Sal Stewart in the lineup, and I agree with you. I would rather risk that than could Brian Hayes at third base. I think Brian Hayes could make a play that wins the game on defense. Now you can get a situation where you pull him at some point if you're down or whatever, for sure. But yeah, I that's what I would do. Is I would not play Austin Hayes. And Austin Hayes is, we don't really know how healthy he is. You're facing a right-handed pitcher, which he's not. He does not have good career numbers against right-handed pitchers. This year. He's been a slightly below average hitter against right-handed pitching throughout your career. So you're going to basically force him in there just to not have Sal Stewart in the lineup. And yeah, Sal Stewart has to be in this lineup tomorrow, but I think me and you both know he won't be.
Yeah, just like Elly won't be hitting in the 2-hole, and Marte is going to continue to hit in the 2-hole, even though he's struggled, he's just struggled lately. And I still believe in Marte. I don't make it sound like I don't, but it's just like we always just, we continue to keep doing the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and then it gets absolutely insanely crazy, and then we maybe change it, and then we finally change it, and then Elly goes from hitting in the 3-hole all year long to the 7-hole, and then all of a sudden magically it kind of like starts to figure itself out a little bit, and then now since it figured itself out, I guess we don't move it back. I don't know. But it is what it is. We play a really good team tomorrow, and that's what we are suggesting or guessing that the game 2 lineup could be. We shall find out. I don't know ultimately when they'll put that out. We'll put that out, Nick, tomorrow. What time? Probably 4 o'clock again, something like that. 3 o'clock.
Yeah, as soon as my kid needs to eat is when they'll put the lineup out. It's what I swear to you, no joke. I was trying to do like just a quick reaction to the lineup. I swear to you, no joke. Kid needs to eat and coming in to help feed the baby, and ding, lineup. Like it was like the kid had gone like 3.5 hours without eating. He was being a trooper. And
understood.
But it's not about me.
No, but it's a grind right now, Nick. I remember those days very vividly, and you have as well. Obviously, you've done it multiple times, but there's something about the first 6 months of a newborn that's just a grind, man. It's a grind. It's not a bad thing. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying it's terrible or anything like that. It's just a different life, man. You gotta. It's just a grind. That's all I got for you.
Trace, we have an opportunity tomorrow.
All right.
We're still alive.
That's
this
it.
stupid team that should have been dead 100 times has apps. They have no business whatsoever. No business whatsoever being in this game, playing tomorrow. And they got a chance to force the Dodgers to play an elimination game and put all the pressure on them. Who cares about game 3? Who cares about the Phillies? Who cares about the World Series? Find a way to win tomorrow, and let's see what happens.
That's right.
That's really the only thing right now that matters to me, and I can't wait till 9:08 p.m. on Wednesday evening.
Wouldn't be the first time in California that I thought a Tito-led team was absolutely dead in the postseason, and that was when his Boston Red Sox went to Oakland, California, and they were down 2-0, and then all of a sudden they went on the most unbelievable run in postseason history. If you haven't seen it, you haven't read about it, well, go read a book. You can go check out that. They came back from 0-2 and go on and win a 5-game set. Then they would go on to be down 0-3 and go on to win a 7-game set, and then they went on to win the World Series. Now, am I suggesting that Tito's going to have that magic yet again? I don't know, but I do know this. I'd like for him to sprinkle some of that tomorrow on the Cincinnati Reds and see if we can't find a way to win a game. And like you said, put some pressure on the Reds. All right, for one final time, I just want to say thank you to all of you that have stuck this whole thing out. We have been live for what has been 4 hours and 47 minutes. That is maybe a record of Chatterbox Reds in and of itself. But you know what? We're crazy enough to do this whole damn thing yet again. So we'll be back here tomorrow right around the same time, 8:30. We'll be right around here at 8:30. You can catch us here on YouTube for the pregame show, and then we'll obviously do the live watch-along and a postgame show like we have all year long. Check out the podcast in the mornings as always, but nonetheless, go Reds. It might have been a tough outing, but you know what? Sometimes you just get beat, and tonight we just got beat. So, for myself, Nick Kirby, Craig Stanley behind the scenes, and Mike Hart to begin the pregame show, we say so long, and we'll see you tomorrow.